Did you do that?
I wanted to, and if you wanted it too, then it's alright.
I've never been with a girl.
Sappho and Phil are a couple who just got married. As for their honeymoon, they went to the beautiful city of Lesbos in Greece. Sappho, who is used to a city life in New York, felt amazed with the place and the people. Set in the year 1926, Sappho is sophisticated and conservative, but tries to be a good wife to Phil. As they were escorted to the hotel where they will stay for their honeymoon, Phil continues his work as a painter, while Sappho acts as a plain housewife. They were in love and gets to make out each night, but something inside Sappho feels there's missing. One morning, she tells Phil she wanted to roam around the place and wants to do something different. She feels suffocated and bored doing the same things every day. She thought of a crazy idea of cutting her hair and to look like a man. The barber doesn't want to cut her hair at first, but she insists. As she walks along, the people were surprised to see such a pretty woman, but looks like a man with her new hair. She sits in a nearby restaurant when suddenly a woman approached her and befriends Sappho. They immediately clicked, and the woman introduced herself as Helen.
Helen. Helen or Love?
Sappho Lover.
She is the daughter of an archaeologist who stays in Lesbos to study more of the ancient rock formations. Helen somehow feels attracted to Sappho, so it was her chance to get to know her more. She invited her to go to a museum, and there she explains the artifacts, especially the goddess whose name is also Sappho. Helen tells Sappho that this Greek goddess is actually an Aphrodite who is attracted to both men and women. As they spend more time together, Helen feels more and more attracted to Sappho. Then that night, Sappho tries not to think about Helen, so she makes love with Phil again. The next day, she comes to see Helen again, and Sappho also meets Helen's father, who is actually smitten by Sappho's beauty. Then Helen tells Sappho to go with her and shows a place whenever she wants to be alone. Everything seems fast for the two women as Helen kissed Sappho. Helen reveals it was love at first sight for her the moment she saw Sappho, and she just can't stop thinking about her. That kiss felt awkward for Sappho, so she tells Helen she is not a lesbian and that she has a husband. Phil and Sappho had dinner. Then somehow Sappho feels that the kiss with Helen is something that is missing. She then realized she is also attracted to Helen. She now starts to feel that she doesn't really love Phil. The next day, Sappho dressed up like a man and visits Helen. As Helen hears Sappho talking with her father, she was so excited to see Sappho again. She thought she won't see her again after she revealed she fell in love with Sappho. The two spent their time again together as they visit a farm. This was also the chance for Sappho to know Helen more. As she was with Helen, she never thought of Phil and that she is actually married. As Sappho still tries to forget the attraction she is feeling towards Helen, she makes out again with Phil, but this time around, while making love, she is thinking about Helen. Finally, Sappho realizes what's missing in her and that she is actually into women and she is a lesbian. She tells Phil about it, but still wants to continue her relationship with him. That night, during their dinner, Helen came and Sappho introduced her to Phil. That very moment, as Helen meets Phil, she then feels attracted to him as well. Helen tells Phil that she is in love with Sappho, but she is also attracted to him. It was an awkward moment for Phil, Sappho, and Helen, as it now became like a three-way love affair. As this love affair between the three continues, Sappho is feeling more and more attracted to Helen. They spent the day swimming, and this was the chance for them to make out. Finally, Sappho felt the love that she haven't felt with Phil. She is now madly in love with Helen. The two women were together as Phil greets them, but feeling jealous. Suddenly, the idea of getting laid the night between Phil and Helen came up, and it was okay with Sappho. But Helen did not agree with the idea. As Phil and Sappho made love again this time around, she thinks of Helen. Sappho loves Helen more than Phil, and this breaks Phil's heart. As he left, he reflects on what he really feels for Sappho and what Helen told him, that she is as well attracted to him. The two women made love again, but this time around, Sappho finally reveals to Helen that she is in love with her, but Helen doesn't feel the same way for her anymore. The moment she saw Phil, Helen seduces Phil while he paints a portrait of her. Sappho saw them kissing, but instead of getting upset, she even invited them for dinner. One night, Phil looks for Helen, and they can't control what they're feeling. They made love as Helen reveals to him that she is still a virgin. Sappho tries to kiss Helen, but she resists, and this made her so upset. Now she feels that Helen is not into her anymore, and that Phil is also falling for Helen. And then Helen decides to just leave and not see her anymore. Sappho has accepted the fact that she is indeed a lesbian and that she is really in love with Helen. She still tries to win her back, but unfortunately Helen is no longer in love with her. This really breaks Sappho's heart as Helen left her. She jumped off the cliff for her death. Phil decided to send Sappho's body back to New York. Then he saw Helen. He told her maybe this happened to Sappho, so he can be with Helen. So he asked Helen to come with him.
Want more queer content? Then please subscribe and hit the notification bell.